We are taking a look at the third quarter analytics for OHA, and we're seeing some positive things and we're seeing some negative things. We're going to take a look through those and try to get a clearer picture of what's happening with the website. We can see down here that the number of users is up about 14%, which is a positive thing. Of course, we're always wanting to expand the number of people who are exposed to OHA and the similar amount for the new users, so that we know that we're bringing in people here for the first time. The number of total sessions is up, so those things are all positive. The number of sessions per users is down just slightly, not enough really to be a concern. Our number of page views is down a good deal, and our pages per session are down a good deal, so we're going to want to take a look at that. Those are normally indicators of whether or not we have high quality visitors, and then we see that that's backed up by the idea of the average session duration being down a good amount too. The bounce rate is off enough that one of two things is happening with that. It's either an error, or then we have some significant shift in the way that we are getting people to the website, and that is leading to that greater bounce rate. We'll take a closer look at that here in a moment. But that's an overview of what's happening. Let's take a look down the list here and see what we're having with some specific areas. When we look at demographics, we want to take a look at both age and gender. And we can see that over here on the gender side that we are essentially the same as where we were before. On the blue over here, then we're seeing what was happening during the most recent quarter, and the orange is what was happening in the quarter prior to that. And so we're up a little on our young people for 25 to 34 and 18 to 24. And then we're looking at being down on our middle-aged people or even, and down on our older people. And that's probably not quite where we want to be given the demographics that we're aiming to achieve here with this particular website. Of course, any age is impacted by cancer, but there's going to be a greater deal of activity that should be happening from those who are older. So maybe we're targeting just a little bit off on that right now. And then we come down here to the geographic information. And we can see that our number of people from the United States has actually increased a little bit, which is good. That means that we're targeting the right people. You're always going to have some outliers who come from other countries. That's never going to be stopped completely, but mostly we're getting from the U.S. And our percentage of people who are from Missouri are up a little. We also have a good number from Kansas and Illinois. That's about what would be expected. And when we come in to look at Missouri, we see that then the pictures look quite similar from this quarter versus the previous quarter. And it looks like there's no major shift anywhere. A little bit down on Springfield, a little bit up on St. Louis, and a little down on Ozark, a little up on Kansas City. So maybe we spread just a little bit out to parts of Missouri outside of the southwest part. When we see this here, and we're looking at the bounce rate, we're seeing similar high bounce rates for everybody. And it's up a good deal regardless of where you're at, which suggests that this might be an error rather than because of a poorly executed referral program or anything of that nature. I'm going to take a look over here at our technology to see where people are coming from to the website, and it looks like they are continuing to come from the same basic sources that they were before. Internet Explorer is always going down as it goes out. Let's take a closer look though at mobile devices. When we look at mobile devices, then the easiest way is over here on this pie chart, and we can see that we have slightly more people using a desktop this time than previously, and mobile users are down a bit in percentage, and tablets are staying steady. And that's not a completely bad thing in the context of a website like this. For people to gain quick contact information, then it makes sense to go there on a mobile device. Many people who are doing more in-depth research on the topic of cancer treatment are going to be doing so on a tablet or a desktop device, and so moving in that direction would be a positive thing, and so it seems like it's a slightly better place to be on that. So overall, our audience looks like it's fairly similar to the past. Slight shift toward younger, slight shift toward desktop, but overall they're quite similar to what they were before. Now we want to look at our acquisition down here so that we can have a better idea of what's happening with these bounce rates, and I think we'll be able to get a clearer picture here in a moment. And so we come down here and we can see that we have most people are coming to the site through the greatest increase in the number of people coming to the site are through excuse me here a moment, through other, and that means they've come to the site directly through some sort of print or TV ad, and organic search and direct. And so those are people coming there through some means other than a web ad, other than social media, other than paid search, and that's increasing a good deal, which is a good thing. That means that then tactics that are outside of the digital ones are taking effect, and people are having an overall brand awareness, and that speaks positively. And when we're looking over here at our bounce rates for those things, and it's showing numbers that are inconsistent with what we've seen previously, because that's looking like a positive bounce rate for those things. So something's a little bit screwy there. But when we look at our percentages up here, then we see an increase in those who are coming here from other, and an increase and a decrease in social. Those are the two biggest takeaways I see up here. Everything else looks like it's staying fairly similar. Slight adjustments, but nothing too much. Let's take a closer look at our social and see what's going on over here, because we have had a decrease in that. We see that it's lower on every front, and from Facebook is where, of course, the majority of that decrease is coming from. It looks like in the past we had several big spikes of ads that were highly effective, and then on this one we've really only had the one during this most recent quarter. And the steady numbers are there on both, but then we don't have the big spikes, and so we might want to take a look into that to see what it is that we've had in the past that's worked and what is not working quite as well right now. So we come down here to behavior. We can take a look at what the most popular pages are, and we can see that while overall page views are down a good deal, we're actually up on unique page views. And when we're looking at any of these individual pages, then our time is up. Now our sessions on the whole are down in their length, but the actual time spent on each page is up. So it's an interesting dynamic there. It means that then we're getting people presumably to the page they want faster, and that means we're referring them to a better place in all likelihood. Leaving them without a need to spend more time on other pages is the most likely explanation for that. When we're looking at people going to the home page, then we're down a good deal. That's not a bad thing. That means we're getting people to where they need to be more often, and they don't have the need to be on the home page. The people looking at our staff is down significantly. There must be something attached to that to go down to that degree in terms of advertising strategies changing in some way. It's not an all bad thing. It just means that then there must be fewer people being directed to that spot precisely, or perhaps there were some ads that were on Facebook that were for a particular staff member or something of that nature. Something like that was leading a pretty high number of people previously to be there, and now it's gone down a good deal. All the order of things here seems mostly reasonable. We are down in most areas to some degree, but the order of things looks roughly the same, which means that it's probably more related to strategies for getting people to the site in the first place rather than what's happening on the site directly. And we want to take a look at events here and see what we have going on. Let's take a look at our event actions, and we can see that the number of people calling from the site that's lower. The number of people that are submitting forms is just a little bit lower than what we've been seeing in the past. And so we want to keep an eye on that and see what happens to that in future quarters. Overall, then it looks to me like there's been a bit of a shift in the strategy for getting people to the website. When you see that everything's consistent within things that are happening on the website, that suggests that the website itself is operating roughly as it has in the past in terms of its structure, it's being successful as it was, and then in terms of site speed and things of that nature, we don't see any problems. And so then there's a little bit of a shift that's happened in the other. That's not automatically bad, but we have a little bit of a degrading of the quality of the people who are visiting there with the session duration and the pages per session going down. We want to keep an eye on that. If that's a trend, then we have more of a reason to want to correct it. If it's a single quarter, it's perhaps not quite as big of a deal. But that gives you a good basic idea of what's going on with the website for this third quarter of 2018. And then we will keep an eye on it and see what comes up in the fourth quarter. And hopefully it will be pointing in a very positive direction.